It is time in this class to turn our attention to our next unit, which considers abstraction and non-objectivity in drawing. This video will cover some of the basics of what abstraction and non-objectivity are. It will also ask you to follow along with several activities. To complete these activities, you will need 4 sheets of unlined white paper and a black marker such as a Sharpie. The paper can be from your sketchbook or something like printer paper. If you don't have these things in front of you, pause the video and go get them now. Let's start with some definitions. Abstraction and non-objectivity are terms that are often used interchangeably to mean art that doesn't directly reference observed reality. In the strictest sense, there is a difference in what these words mean. Abstraction refers to any deviation from what we understand as real. That means it might encompass everything from a Jackson Pollock drip painting to a Picasso Cubist collage to your favorite anime character with gravity-defying hair. Non-objectivity, on the other hand, is more strict. It means art that is not objective, that is to say, it doesn't show recognizable objects. Strictly speaking, non-objective is the term we should use when we want to talk about art of the type we will do for this unit, art that doesn't look like reality. However, in practice, artists, art critics, art teachers, your brother, your great Aunt Sally, probably all use these terms interchangeably. Well, maybe not Sally. I hear she's a stickler for strict word use, but the rest of us definitely. Because abstraction and non-objectivity do not rely at all, or at least as much, on referencing what you see, being successful with them requires you to develop a different set of skills and sensibilities than the ones required for observational art. Among other things, abstract artists typically rely on their inner understandings rather than the outer world. They may make work based on emotion or logic or on mysteries of the unconscious. When you think about it, these are pretty broad and nebulous sources of inspiration, and that can cause both opportunities and problems when you're making abstract art. Let's talk about that for a moment, the opportunities and problems of abstraction. Abstract art is something that tends to be divisive. I'm sure at some point you or someone you know has looked at an abstract painting or drawing or sculpture and said something along the lines of, anyone could do that. So why is that? Let's explore it through a little exercise. On one of the papers in front of you, make a pros and cons list for abstraction. What are some things that are good about abstract art? Why do artists keep coming back to abstraction? What's exciting about it? Some of you may find lots of reasons, and others may struggle more depending on whether you yourself like abstraction. Once you have a few things listed, explore the other side of it. What isn't so great about abstract art? Why do you think a lot of people don't like it? Go ahead and pause the video to give yourself time to finish the list. Try to have at least a couple pros and a couple cons. Now that you've made a list, let's explore. I'm going to give you a few of the common pros and cons people put out there when they're talking about abstraction. It doesn't matter if they're different from what you have, it just adds to the list. On the pros side, people often cite the freedom working abstractly offers. You are not tied into making something look like something, so abstraction allows you to explore. A second pro is related to that. Abstraction offers your viewers more room for interpretation. They get to decide what the art means to them, which can be really powerful. A third pro is a little more debatable. Sometimes people claim that abstraction is easier. I think by that they mean that you don't have to worry about matching proportions and colors like you do if you're working realistically, which does reduce difficulty in one way. However, I'm not sure abstraction is easier overall. We'll talk about that more in a moment. On the con side, one of the big things is that abstraction is controversial, to say the least. Many people just flat out don't like it. Some folks would even go so far as to say that abstraction is not real art. I often wonder why abstraction inspires such hostility. I think a lot of it is the fact that the meaning of an abstract work is more open to interpretation, which makes people feel confused when they look at it, especially if they don't have a background in art. That confusion can feel threatening or alienating, and those are emotions that often cause someone to lash out. That con, the fact that people often don't like abstraction, leads to a second, which is that artists often have to work harder to connect with an audience when they're working abstractly. If you are drawing, say, realistic pictures of kittens, you have an automatic built-in audience of kitten lovers who will adore your work because of the subject. But the subject in abstract art is usually not obvious, so you have to rely as an artist on connecting emotionally or intellectually through composition. That's a challenge. And that leads to a third con. It might feel easier to make art abstractly as opposed to realistically, but it is actually very, very hard to make good abstract art. Again, you have to connect to your viewers and communicate without the benefit of a recognizable subject and its built-in associations. You also have to be a master at composition, both for the purposes of communicating and just to create something that is satisfying aesthetically. That's definitely a challenge. Whether that challenge is one that you want to undertake in the long term is up to you. But even if you don't think abstraction is your jam as an artist, it's good to learn something about how abstract art is successfully developed. To that end, over the next week or so, we will be exploring abstraction and non-objectivity in drawing. Be sure to read the article posted in your list of tasks for the week, since it lays the groundwork by discussing some of the inspirations contemporary artists are using to create abstract work. In addition, finish this video, which will introduce you to one method for generating abstract imagery: automatic drawing. Automatic drawing is a process of attempting to suppress conscious control over the art-making process, allowing the unconscious mind to take the wheel. It gained popularity way back in the early 20th century among artists in the Dada and Surrealist movements who used chance and randomness to create their compositions. Some of them dropped pieces of paper on the floor and then created a painting based on where shapes fell. Others made automatic drawings in which the hand moves randomly across the paper, supposedly without conscious thought. Either way, the point is to let go of rational control, which is sometimes seen as a way to reveal something about one's true psyche. Whether that's actual fact or not, it is definitely a wonderful way to get started building up abstract compositions, because you can let go of some of the pressure your conscious mind puts on you to make things perfect. So let's give it a try. In the remainder of this video, I will play 3 songs. For each one, get a new piece of paper and your marker ready. When the song starts to play, either close your eyes or look away from your paper. You are, of course, on the honor system here since we're not in the classroom together, but you want to start making marks on the page without looking at what you're doing. Open your ears to the music and try to let your mind drift. Think about what you're hearing rather than what you're drawing. The goal is to let your drawing hand react with as little rational control as possible. Okay, you ready? Get your first paper and your marker, and let's go.
Looking out for love.
How did it go? You can look at your drawing now, but don't dwell on it. Remember, this is not about making perfect work, but about letting yourself go. Okay, song 2 is incoming, so get a fresh piece of paper. Don't forget to close your eyes or look away from your paper as you draw. Last song, get one more piece of blank paper and get ready to draw.
Shouts to all my lost boys. Shouts to all my lost boys. We rowdy. Shouts to all my lost boys. Shouts to all my lost boys. We rowdy. Shouts to all my lost boys. Shouts to all my lost boys. When you're ready, bass. When you're ready, when you're ready. Shouts to all my lost boys, we rowdy. Shouts to all my lost boys. Shouts to all my lost boys. Shouts to all my lost boys. Shouts to all my lost boys, we rowdy. Shouts to all my lost boys. When you're ready, bass. back of my toy car.
All done. How do they look? Did the different songs inspire different kinds of mark making? Is there one you like more than the others? If so, what about it appeals to you? Once you've got your 3 drawings finished, take clear photos of them and upload them to the relevant assignment post on BBLearn. Make sure in your post that you label which one goes with which song. That's it. Next, we'll delve into more conscious methods for abstraction. Until then, happy drawing!